Hello again, you sick, twisted weather freaks, and welcome to another special edition of This Week in Weather. I'm your host and meteorologist, DT from Weather Risk, your commander of chaos, your colonel of confusion, your captain of catastrophe. Let's talk about this week in weather for this November 20th. A lot to talk about. And from now on, all the way through April, we'll be going This Week in Weather every Wednesday. I think that's the best schedule for me. So we'll make it every Wednesday, late afternoon or early evening. This one's a little later. I've been looking at some data and also tinkering around with the new technology here, so let's get right to it. All right, first we want to take a look at this huge storm in the Pacific Northwest. This thing was a monster. Now this is early Wednesday morning. You can see how massive the system is. 944, gargantuan Pacific storm. Not a hurricane, but just a huge ocean storm. So, sometimes you'll see me reference to our big ocean low. That's not a hurricane. You can get these huge storms in the northern Pacific and the northern Atlantic, which reach Category 3 and Category 4 intensity. And they have winds, many winds here reported. If you take a look at the data on the Oregon, Washington coast, right in here, you can see we had winds, many areas up to 55, 65, 70 miles an hour on the coast and even higher in the oceans. This was a gargantuan storm, no doubt about it. Atmospheric river, because the flow coming in from the Pacific is slamming into Northern California, Oregon, and Washington. So this is a pretty big storm. And of course, this is all mild Pacific air. And notice here, we have the cold high to the north. We have temperatures in the teens and 20s here. Not severely cold, but fairly cold. So I just wanted to point it out, this enormous storm. I think these things are really kind of special and cool, and they don't get nearly enough attention from people. So, but that's just, my viewpoint. And here's the satellite picture. You can see this thing. Look how massive this is. And you can see, of course, this is from the folks over at the College of DuPage, and you can see as you run the loop, you can see the system. This is the infrared, but you can see how massive it was. And of course, here is the atmospheric river bringing the moisture in, so you can see that. So I thought that this is a pretty good loop. I thought I'd show you and see what the system looks like. And it's still cranking. This thing is still cranking. It's weakened, filled a little bit, but it's still a monster storm, just really a powerful system. And the thing about it is that systems like this, they can actually alter the entire pattern across North America. And to some degree, this is going to do that. So let's get started here and take a look what's going on now. This is the upper level low, which is now going to bring the huge, significant, major northeast low here on Thursday and Friday. So when we have three big upper lows, it's kind of like we're having an equilibrium here. There's the gargantuan, huge northeast Pacific ocean low. Then we have this system, which also came out of the west coast. Notice the tilt on. You see how it's running northwest to southeast? See the negative tilt there? Always a sign during the winter, as you go into the cold season months, that you could have a potentially dangerous storm developing here. And then you have this huge ocean low in Nova Scotia, which I've been talking about for a while. All right, so this thing has been sitting up here for a couple of days, and as a result, because of these three closed upper lows, look at this huge block, monster block here: Southern Greenland, Labrador, Hudson's Bay, Canada, classic negative NAO. That's what this is, the negative NAO. Then you have another one here, a block in Alaska, in the Bering Sea. And this is an omega block. You can see it's shaped by the letter omega. See how it's shaped like this? Omega block. Now, this is a Rex block because this is right underneath it. But you could also make the case, some people have argued this is an omega block. But when this upper low moves to the northeast and pushes this one out to sea, then you will have a classic Rex block pattern. So that's what's going to happen. You can see what it does here. Take a look at it. See how it drops towards the coast? This is now Thursday. And then you can see Thursday night into Friday. Look at this thing bomb out here. Very, very strong, huge upper low here. And it's just massive. Over Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania. Now look at this. Now you see it's right underneath the block. You see this? This is a Rex block right here. And this is also becoming a Rex block. So this is a very stable pattern, very dynamic. All right. Now the system lingers there. This is now Friday night. Now, have to remember what this is. Okay, this upper low is an enormous pool of incredibly cold air relative to the atmosphere around it. And that's going to bring down the cold air underneath it, and it's going to change the rain over to snow in the mountains of Pennsylvania, southern New York State, the Catskills, the Adirondacks, and also into western Pennsylvania, western Maryland, the eastern half of West Virginia is just going to get pounded. Southwest Virginia, west of Interstate 77, they're going to get a big snow. And some of the snow is going to rotate southward Friday afternoon, evening, with the temperatures collapsing into D.C. and Baltimore, Manassas, the 495 Beltway, maybe as far west as Winchester and Leesburg, and as far south as, let's say, I-66. And you'll see that in just a second. So this is a very significant system here. And of course, what happens is that eventually it leaves, and then earlier it looked like we were going to get a big trough here on the west coast and another ridge. But then we get this little disturbance here, and this is coming in on Sunday. And what it does is it drives another front through here and reinforces the cold air. This trough was not here only a couple of days ago. We had this big trough here and another ridge developing. So this is a big change. This is a big change right here for Monday night, Tuesday. And that cold trough, that brings a cold front through with some rain. Again, much needed rain for the Ohio Valley and the East Coast. All right, and then we can start getting our systems. Now look at these systems coming in here by the time we get to day 7. So there's this one, next one, another one, boom, 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 boom. All right, and this is not what we were seeing. When we had this drought in August and September and October, we were not getting these energy coming in at all. Now suddenly these systems coming in from the Pacific are coming in strong, they're coming in fast. These are very dynamic systems. Look at these short waves. A closed low, a short wave, closed low, just boom, 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 coming right one after another. All right. Now this next system for 174, okay, for Thanksgiving, this is a closed upper low, nice embedded short wave, closed upper low in Kansas and Nebraska. And look what happens. It deepens. It goes bonkers in Missouri, Illinois, okay, then heads to the Ohio Valley, where it becomes a coastal storm, and you get a snowstorm in the mountains of the Northeast on Friday night, Saturday, after Thanksgiving, rainstorm on the coast. Now, that sort of activity is fairly normal. Getting snow in the mountains in late November, rain on the coast, that's fairly normal. What makes this unusual is we haven't seen that in 4 years. We have not seen this activity in 4 years. Okay, last year we had this raging El Nino, almost a super El Nino. It was a strong one, almost borderline super El Nino. Okay, then the 3 winters before that, 20, 21, 21, 22, 22, 23, we had 3 moderate La Ninas in a row. Now we have neutral conditions, and if we don't get the La Nina developing and it looks like it's falling apart, then we will have a neutral winter, and everything's off the table. Now you got a ball game. If there's no La Nina, this winter is going to be much different than a lot of people are thinking. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a severe winter, but again, when you haven't any snow in the eastern United States in 4 years and you get a normal winter, that's going to be a big deal for a lot of people, okay? That's the point I'm trying to get across here. So, let's see if this loads up here. For some reason it stopped. There we go. And then it reaches the East Coast, and then finally what happens here, you can see a new trough comes in December 2nd. Again, look at the blocking redeveloping in Northeast Canada. You see that? Very nice. Okay, and this system just amplifies, goes underneath it, and again we're back into an active pattern. And you can even see here. Look at this by 324 hours out. Now I don't know if this is true or not, but look at the amount of blocking going on up here. I'm telling you, if this holds on for the heart of the winter, they're going to be places in the eastern United States. They're going to get belly high to a tall dog in snow. Look at this blocking. Do you believe this now? I happen to think a lot of this is overdone. Oops, didn't change that. I didn't want to do that. Let me go to the European ensemble. Here we go. And now, again, as we go further out in time, you can see November 30th. Now, this is a nice looking map. We haven't seen this in a long time. So look at the ridge here on the west coast, eastern Pacific into Alaska. Now, that's not ideal for the East Coast in terms of winter storms, but it's a start. We're getting a lot of cold air finally flowing out of the Arctic. Right? This is a negative anomaly here in the Midwest, the Ohio Valley. That's very nice to see. Some blocking in Northeast Canada and Greenland again. And this is a nice pattern. It's not severely cold, but it's cold. And I think people are overlooking it. Look at this map here for December 1st. When was the last time we saw this? In early December. That's not bad. It really isn't. Now, this is not the coldest December ever. It's not severe cold. It's not indicating a blizzard, but it's got potential. It's got potential, this kind of pattern. So, we'll see. This map looks pretty darn good. Now, the problem with this is that the Maddie and Julian oscillation in mid-December goes into phase 3, 4, and 5, and that's a blowtorch for the eastern United States. So this is not going to last according to the Maddie and Julian oscillation. But the European, the GFS maps are really going bonkers. Here's the GFS extended. Let me show you what this one's looking like here. Make make sure I'm doing the right one here. 18Z, there we go. And you can see it's doing the same thing. That's a cool looking map for the beginning of December. It's not too shabby, Abby. So, okay, we'll see what happens. All right, let's get on to what's going on with this system here. So we can run this, and you can see there's their front coming through right now. In fact, I think I have a radar here. If I have the radar, let me see if I have the radar. No, I don't have it loaded up here. That's okay. I can call up a radar here, actually. Let me see if I do that here and call up a radar so you can see what's going on here. This is usually just the telecast one. That's fair enough. Okay, so you can see really nice. There's the front coming through the mid-Atlantic right now, and there's your upper low in the snow already. So that's a definitely this system is cranking. So this here is the operational European from the midday run, and you can see that when it lifts at the front. At this point, by Thursday morning, we have one low which has moved off the coast here, and the other upper low, which is in Michigan, is now up at the top of Michigan, right? So what happens is, by Thursday midday, the low is very close to New York City. It's just a nice rain into New York and northern New Jersey and New England, all the way into rain, not snow, into the Adirondacks. You're getting southeast winds here at this point, east winds. But the upper low, which was in Michigan, and now up here, and now dropping south towards Chicago, Indiana, Ohio. And there's your upper level snow with the cold air coming southward. And then you can see it really begins to drop here in eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, and so on and so forth. So you can see how it drops south, and this is what I'm concerned about. Okay, well, eventually this upper low disappears, and this becomes the main low. Okay, now it's in Long Island by Thursday night, and by the time it goes early Friday morning, it's near Binghamton. And look at what it's going to. It's going to drop southward. In fact, let me see if I can change the image here to make it northeast so you can see it better. So again, you can see what happens. Okay, there's the coastal low. It rotates around, and now it's dropping into Pennsylvania. And when it does so, it drops snow, if you can believe this map, into Maryland and D.C.'s rain snow mix. Now here, the temperature boundary is a little warmer than some of the other models, but you can see Western Maryland, West Virginia gets hammered, just hammered on Thursday afternoon, Thursday night and Friday morning, really, with good snow in this area. And the system continues to linger. Now this is Friday night, and it's pretty cold. It's pretty windy. This is an unpleasant Thursday night, Friday night into Saturday. Now the other models are doing it a little differently. This is the 18Z NAM, and it's a little colder. And let me show you what it does here. Okay, and this is for Virginia, Maryland, southern Pennsylvania, Delaware, northern North Carolina, West Virginia. So this is Thursday afternoon. Right, so you can see the snow already falling here in southwest Virginia, mostly west of Interstate 77 in the southwest areas, West Virginia. It doesn't look that significant now, but it really begins to crank. Okay, and look at the snow down in here in eastern Kentucky and southwest Virginia, northeast Tennessee, spreading into the mountains of western North Carolina, and then into the Greenbrier Valley and western Maryland. So this is now early Friday morning. Now notice the moderate snow, I guess you call it moderate snow, in northeast Pennsylvania. So what happens is, here comes the southward drop on Friday morning. Here it comes, and then boom, you got snow in D.C. and Hagerstown and Frederick and Baltimore and Manassas and Winchester and Leesburg and Centerville, Reston. And that's not unusual for mid-November to get snow, but it's unusual because we haven't seen it in 4 years. Now look at the snow only a few hours ago. Look how the snow just intensifies in West Virginia. Look at this. In Western Maryland, they're getting pounded. Look at this heavy snow here. I'm getting slammed. Southwest Virginia getting slammed. Not too shabby. This is Friday afternoon, 5 o'clock, I believe. Yeah. So it's coming down here. 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And the temperatures. And again, this is moderate snow in these darker bands here, just north of D.C. and Baltimore. Look at this stuff. It's coming down. And then it finally comes to an end, but you can see what it looks like. It's pretty darn impressive, And that was the 18Z run. If you look at the 12Z run, it was doing the same thing. Same thing. So now you may be skeptical. Okay, I don't believe this. That's fine. I'm not saying you have to believe it. I'm showing that's what that is showing. All right. Now let me show you the temperatures here. Look at the 850 temperatures. Here comes the front. All right. Boom. Look at that. 850 temperatures, Thursday afternoon, -3. Look how cold it is. This is the rain snow line right here, this where it's 0, okay? So You notice New York City is still above it. Okay, but you can see how cold it is coming in. Look at the heart of the cold air mass underneath the upper low, -9, -8 at 850 millibars. This is 1 mile above the ground, all right? This is where the rain snow line has to be below zero. So in order to get snow. Now, it doesn't mean you are going to get snow. What it says is that if you're getting precipitation, it's snowfall. All right. So, and then you can run it. You can see how cold it gets behind it. Friday morning. This is Friday afternoon. It's really cold 1 mile above the ground. Friday morning. Look at this. -3. You know, it's cold. Whew. So that's one of the reasons why they get the snow. It's oppressively cold. In terms of temperatures, well, let's take a look. See here. We can go this way. This is the snowfall map from, let me see if I shrink this a little bit so you can see more of it. Okay, this is, again, the 18Z NAM. Now, is it going to snow 2 inches north of D.C.? No. But could it snow an inch on the grassy surfaces, on the car tops, on the lawns, on the bushes? Yeah, maybe. And look at Western Maryland and West Virginia. They're getting pounded, and of course, Northeast Pennsylvania as well. The suburbs outside of Philly, Willow Grove, Reading, Lancaster, Allentown, a couple of inches. Not out of the question. Really not out of the question here. Put back here. All right. And you can see the temperatures and the winds. Let me shrink this a little bit. These are the temperatures of Friday, 6 p.m. We're in the mid-30s in D.C. That's cold enough. Look at Western Maryland. It's 29 degrees, upper 20s, around 30 in the Greenbrier Valley of West Virginia. Look at Southwest Virginia and the mountains in North Carolina. They're 28, 29, 30 degrees. They're snowing. That's it. That is sticking stuff. So, you know, a lot of people downplaying this. That's fine. I'm telling you what the data is showing. And then look at the winds. These are wind gusts on Friday afternoon. Look at the mountain ranges. Over 40 miles an hour. Even in D.C., you have winds gusting almost 30. In Richmond, over 30. That's a windy, cold, nasty afternoon and evening. It looks pretty impressive, if you ask me. Look at the simulated radar. This is Friday. Let me shrink it a little bit. 19Z, which is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There is rotating down the radar, the simulated radar. That's snow in D.C., snow north of D.C., snow in Leesburg and Martinsburg and Winchester. And don't believe it. Look, again, suburbs just outside of Philadelphia. So, you know, I understand the skepticism, but, you know, I think it's going to happen. And just to show you again, this is let me shrink this a little bit so you can see this some more. This is Friday afternoon, 3 p.m. on the 18Z. This is 18Z NAM, and here is 6 p.m. And again, the point here is that it's rotating down from Pennsylvania because the upper low goes from central New York State into northern Pennsylvania, and that forces the snow band southward. And that's how you get it. So, pretty darn impressive system. Okay. And that's just Friday. I showed you that earlier. So there we go. Just go through the maps one more time. Anyway, that was the presentation. That's the This Week in Weather. Like I said, I like this event. I think it's significant only because we haven't had it before. And there's a lot of possibilities down the road here with more additional rain. We need the rain for the drought, so don't forget that, to fight off the drought conditions. And December looks like it's getting off to a good start. I don't know how long the cold pattern is going to last, but certainly the first week of December looks pretty darn cold. I got to tell you, it looks pretty darn cold. This is meteorologist DT from Weather Risk. I will see you over on the Weather Risk Twitter page, the grain page, and then also on the Weather Risk Blue Sky social media page, and then over on the website and on the Facebook page.